Hey, what's up? It's Tony from Street Church Ministries, and you're watching the Inside Job podcast. Thanks for hopping on board, everyone. Hope you're all having a great day. And if you're not having a great day, I think the one suggestion I would have, and I know it's easier said than done, but the one suggestion I would have is to put your violin back in its case and shove it back in the closet where it belongs. Because at the end of the day, we all have our own violins that we can choose to pull out and to pluck and to play our own little sad songs whenever we want to. But the great thing is that we all can do the opposite, right? We all can choose to put it back in its case and to shove them back in their closets where they belong. And if we do so, I just think it can go a long way from changing a miserable day into a pretty good day, right? Like my father said, attitude determines altitude. And just remembering that none of us brought anything into the world, and everything that we have is a gift and is need to be looked upon in that light. And none of us are going to bring anything out of the world. I mean, all the things that we accumulate and that we gather are either going to be given away, they're going to be sold, or they're going to be, they're either going to be given away or they're going to be sold. I mean, one sight that you have never seen, nor will you ever see, is you'll never see a hearse that is pulling a U-Haul truck, right? Everything that we have is a gift. None of us get to take anything with us, so we need to be grateful. And I think that if we can tweak our perspective and if we can adjust our attitude and just remember that and to be grateful and to be hopeful about the future, it can go a long way to flip a miserable day into a pretty good day. So that's a freebie. Back to our series. We are in week 3 of a series that we have called More Mercy, Please. I don't think, regardless of how well things are going in your life right now, I'm sure they're not going well enough where you'll be where anybody is able to say, please, no more mercy, no more kindness. I just can't take anymore. I'm filled to the brim. None of us can say that, right? We could all use an extra serving, an extra helping of mercy in our lives. Because if the goal is to love people and to lay down our lives for people and to serve people and to invest our lives into other people's lives who are hurting and suffering, and to add value to their lives, if that's what the goal is, and I think that is what the goal is, then it's contingent upon our willingness and how effective we are in receiving mercy, right? And we need as many helpings and servings of mercy as we can. I mean, I know I do, regardless of how good things are going in my life. So with that in mind, we created a series called More Mercy, Please. Week number 1, we talked about the value of recognizing mercy, right? Recognizing it for exactly what it is. It's this unmerited, unwarranted, unearned kindness and compassion that gets imparted into our lives. And God chooses how he wants to impart it into our lives. It could be through teachers, it could be through neighbors, mothers, wives, husbands, even mother-in-laws, maybe. But or it can be through programs, events, whatever, right? But it's always unearned, unmerited kindness and compassion that gets imparted into our lives. So that's number 1. Week number 2, we talked about the importance of learning how to receive mercy. Like, there's a proper way to do it. There is a technique that we have to do to receive it well. I used to teach martial arts long time ago, and I would tell the kids, if you want to be a good martial artist, you got to learn the proper technique. You have to assume the proper posture, right? And I think that mercy is the same way, right? We have to assume the proper posture if we want to receive it well. And I think the proper posture is just to come to God with crickets, right? Empty and open-handed, not saying or claiming that we have ever done anything that has earned his favor, earned his compassion, earned his kindness. It's just coming with open hands, empty-handed. Like, I've never seen anybody receive and catch a football who had their hands filled with things, right? They've always had their hands empty, so they're able to receive and to catch that football. Well, that's the right posture in receiving mercy. So That brings us to week number 3, the most important week, the climax, the bullseye, why we're here. Releasing mercy, because the goal in receiving something is to release it into the lives of those who are hurting. And we all know people who are hurting and suffering, who are in the middle of some pretty nasty sandwiches, who are in the middle of messes, right? We see people all the time in our ministry in Trenton who are in the middle of some tough sandwiches, right? And you would be surprised how just I know it's a cliche, right? But just a little act of kindness can go a long way in making a big difference in somebody's life. And it's true, right? A little bit of mercy inhaled into somebody's life who is going through it could not only change a miserable day, into a good day, but it could go a long way in changing the entire course of their life. If there's enough of those mercies that are being imparted into their lives, it can go a long way in changing the trajectory of somebody's life. And that's what the goal is, right? We are here to love people well and to invest and to lay our lives down for others, especially people who are, in the middle of some pretty nasty sandwiches, right? So, releasing mercy. I think the only way to do it is, Jesus said, he said, freely you have received, now freely give. Freely you have received, now freely give. The only way to do it, and it's hard because we're all groomed to want to expect investments, expect a return on whatever level of investments we are investing into people's lives, right? We want a return, right? So this is easier said than done. We have to fight against our natural inclination to want to receive something back. The only way to do it well is to recognize that all things that we have, it can be traced back to the goodness of God, right? But you might be saying, well, I put myself through college, I worked 2 jobs, I did the work, this and that. Yeah, okay, but the ability to think and to write and to read and to listen to all of the lectures that you were being told. Every ability that you have can be traced back to the jobs that you drove to, so you can put yourself to college. Well, God gave you the eyesight to be able to see. He gave you the hand-eye coordination to be able to drive a car. They can all be traced back to the faithfulness and goodness of God. So ultimately, everything that we have is a free gift. God is the source of all things. And we have to think about it in that kind of a light. Because if we don't, it's going to be harder for us to give mercy away. And the only way to give it away is with no strings attached. No strings attached. And that's hard to do in a culture where we have been groomed to want to receive back, right? But the only way to do it is with no strings attached. And when we do give it in that way, and when other people realize and when they recognize that we're not looking for anything back, right? Not even a pat on the back, right? That can make a big difference in their lives, right? Because most people are sort of saying to themselves, well, what's the angle here? What do they want to get back? What's in it for them? Everybody's looking for an angle. Everybody's looking for a hustle. Like, what's in it for them? Why are they doing that? When people recognize that we are doing this for no reason, other than just to release mercy, period, without expecting anything back, that could make a big difference in the trajectory of their lives, right? Then the second thing Jesus said, he said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And in a paradoxical, weird way, the most selfish thing that we can do, really, is to be releasers of mercy, without any strings attached. That's the most selfish thing that we can do, really, because Jesus said, you are more blessed if you do that. Like, you will be more content. You will be more filled with satisfaction. You will be filled with a greater level of significance and happiness and meaning if you're giving mercy, if you are giving mercy in that way. Like, in a weird way, it's the most selfish thing that we can do for ourselves, is to release mercy in that way with no strings attached. Because at the end of the day, our cups are going to be filled up more and more. And the whole purpose, of filling a cup is to pour it out, right? It can't be poured out unless it's filled. And our cups are going to be filled. We're going to be more content. We're going to have a greater level of satisfaction and of significance in our lives if we have this mentality of, I have got everything I have as a free gift, and I'm going to give it out freely, with expecting no change in return, with no strings attached. And then your cup is just going to be refilled more and more so that you can pour it out, right? Refilled and poured out, refilled and poured out. And that's why you and I are here, right? And that's the best way that we can reflect and to represent the love of God, is this willingness to pour our cups of mercy out and to release them into people's lives with no strings attached. And that's the only way that we're going to have our cups refilled, so that we can continue to do it again. So, okay, week 3 down, another series over. We have something cooked up that you're going to love. It's delicious. You're not going to want to miss this next series. Have a great day until then.